Excellence is the best deterrent to sexism. Aptly said by Oprah Winfrey. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to everyone present here with us. I, Tanisha of SRM IEEE Student Branch, WIE Affinity Group, on behalf of IEEE SRM Student Branch, welcome you all to a global celebration and a comprehensive webinar on women's equality conducted by WIE Affinity Group. This webinar carries a very special theme, and for today's Women's Day celebration, we are having a discussion on opportunities in research. But let me start by introducing IEEE to every one of you. IEEE is one of the world's largest technical professional organization dedicated to advancing technology for the benefits of humanity. IEEE WIE is the largest international professional organization dedicated to promoting women engineers and scientists and inspiring girls around the world to follow their heart and also their academic interests and a career with passion. Well, we are talking about Women's Day, right? But what is the significance of Women's Day and what is its significance in IEEE WIE? We celebrate Women's Day to celebrate the efforts, talent, and courage of millions of women around the world. At SRM IEEE WIE, we work as a community to bring out tons of opportunities to budding female engineers and to celebrate their success. We can see examples of women doing great in different fields and moving forward with valor. This is the example we want to set and follow for our future generations. And we want to bring forward this kind of example to our audience every year on Women's Day. If I'm not missing it, let me now come to the best part. Today, in our panel of speakers, we have three dynamic women with us. Please welcome Ms. Khyati Arora, Ms. Anushka Aggarwal, and Ms. Kavya Priya R. Their accomplishments don't justify their age. I know they're young, but their talent is way, way, way expansive. They are young minds with brewing talent. They're here to inspire more women like them towards excellence. It is truly an honor having them here with us today. Thank you guys for being here with us.
Thank you for hosting us, Tanisha.
Thank you
Thank
for
you. It's
inviting
such an
us.
honor. And we want to know more about your research background and how you get where you are today. So, without further ado, our first speaker tonight is Kavya Priya R. She is just like us, an SRM student of fourth year. She is currently working as an application developer consultant at ThoughtWorks and also a research intern at DRDO and MITAX. She's experienced in marketing and has a demonstrated history of working in the non-profit organization management industry. She has remarkable skills when it comes to mobile application development, analytical skills, and web design. She has deep rooted interests in data science. I know these are a lot of things in a single bundle of abundance. But please let me welcome Ms. Kavya Priya, who will shed more light about her career goals, and her future endeavors. So, Ms. Kavya Priya, are you here? Most welcome
Yes,
to
Nisha,
today's
yes.
webinar.
It was a wonderful introduction. I'm not sure if I'm very much of these words, but I'll try to keep up. So I'm guessing I take 10 to 15 minutes of everybody's time, and I'll get into a talk about my journey specifically in research and with respect to SRM. And then we'll move on to a presentation and a set of opportunities that I've curated for this particular show. Okay?
Sure, sure.
And then
Please go
I think
ahead.
in between, I'd sort of be expecting an interactive session. So I'd be calling out to you a little bit to help me out with the chat polls. I'd let you know. All right. Let me know if you're
Okay,
able to see my screen and let me know if something goes bad in between.
sure.
Yes, just give me a minute. All good? You're able to see the presentation?
Uh, okay, yes, your screen is now visible, right? And I can see the presentation.
Okay. Okay, and I think Tanisha pretty much introduced about me a lot in a very expansive manner, so I have saved a lot of time in the first few slides. So I am currently working at ThoughtWorks as an application developer intern. I had some experience in working with Samsung and Barclays, again as interns. All of these were somewhere around in mid of 2021. Previously in 2020, I had a lot of opportunities in overseas work with my tax with the University of Saskatchewan, Canada, and with NCC with Taiwan. Again, both of these projects were very specific. They were client based. These are your very first research projects, my very first research projects. And this is what stirred my interest in graph theory. Not sure how many of you are interested in it, but that is, let's say, not an applied computer science. So I pretty much call myself more of a theoretical computer science person, student, than an applied computer science. But that does have one drawback. I'll give you about the gist on that. And my very first experience in a long-term project was with DRDO, and that was again, let's say, a neuro project, something in a completely different space, something with computer vision, which I had no clue about, which I started learning, and it did grasp my interest as well. So, how is all of these possible within 4 years or within 2 years, I'd say, because I only started working somewhere between 2020 to 2021 and I graduated in 2022. So, this requires a very good team of people whom you can trust. So, my four gurus, I'd say, Dr. Parthivan Natarajan sir and Dr. Kavita Venkatachalam ma'am, both of them were some of my faculties. They were the principal and co-principal investigators for the DRDO project. None of these opportunities that I mentioned actually had required me to apply. All of them came to me. I know this sounds like a bit of an exaggeration, but that is what really happened. All I did was I was a first bencher. I used to be attentive in class. I don't communicate a lot, being frank. And all I did was to interact with the faculty, listen to the classes, and they thought maybe I have something. So these two were the ones who identified me for the person who I am today. And Dr. Srinivas Rajendran sir and Dr. Jiva Salvarat sir, both of them are my mentors from the Samsung Prism program. So starting off with the Guru Namaskar, thank you to all of these four people. Moving on. So here's what I follow for all of these 4 years. I believe that time is a creative thing. Now, this was told by some Chinese monk in the 16th century. Some say he's a fictional character, but again, I love this quote. Time is a really creative thing. Let's say you have a friend A and you have a friend B. Both of them are calling you for a party at the same time on the same day. So you can only be in one of these places. What you're gonna do is you're gonna go to friend A and say, "Hey, listen, bro, I'm so sorry. I won't be able to come to the party because I am occupied with something else," which pretty much means you're saying you don't have the time for it. And I don't think that excuse is gonna work anymore. See, when you say I don't have the time for it, it literally translates to I don't want to. You are the master of your own time. I have the same 24 hours as you do. I have the same 24 hours as everybody does. So what makes us different, what makes us stand out is how I utilize my 24 hours, or at least let's say taking off a few hours of sleep, go extracurricular stuff. It matters on how I specifically utilize my time. Yes, a little bit of a disclaimer before going into the actual presentation. All of the things that I'm speaking today are completely based on my perspectives. It might or might not align with your choices or preferences. So please don't take it very personal. And I have a few puns that are upcoming. I hope it's not too cringy. All right.
I
Okay.
just want to add one thing before you move ahead. Everything you are sharing today would be worth of millions of knowledge than anything. It is not anything perspective. It is something that you share and people, especially for today's audience, women take forward and follow. So it would be our honor if you share how you got your passion and goal to align. Please, please
Thanks,
continue.
Janisha. It was good golden words about me. I'm flattered. Okay. Uh, I'll keep it in mind. So right in front of you, you got three trails, A, B, and C, and this is where Tanisha, I need your help. Can you keep an
Sure.
eye on the chat box? Time the audience to like 15 to 20 seconds and ask them to choose either of these three trails.
Okay,
Where I
okay.
have the reason behind this. I'm going to give
Yes.
you some stuff. And after the 20
Okay.
seconds, please tell me what was the majority, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
I'll.
yeah. I'm looking at the chat poll so that yes, yes. Okay, so the thing is ki most people are saying that trail B because it kinds of look mysterious, but at the same time it's very appealing at the same time. So and some of them said trail C, but a very few percentage, like 7%, and majority goes to trail B.
Trail
Yeah,
B. Okay.
yeah.
So given that all of these three trails lead you to the same destination, here's how I am comparing this with the perspective of life or career itself as a UG student, not any woman in particular, but a UG student in specific. You see, Trail A is something that entails entrepreneurship. It includes research, pursuing higher studies. All of these three falls under Trail A. Trail B is someone who's going for a government-based job. Trail C is someone who's choosing the IT or corporate sector. Here's how I'm trying to define all of these three, and here's how I'm trying to stratify all of that. You see, all of them take you to the same destination, meaning all of these three trails are taking you to the final goal of, let's say, getting placed or pursuing higher studies. So the destination, the common destination being your wish, what you wish to do with your life. What happens in trail A is there is a path, yes. You have stuff around you, which means there are a lot of opportunities. The greeneries, in trail A signify the opportunities. So you have a lot of things you can explore. You can choose to walk on the path itself, you can choose to walk on the grass, you can choose a middle ground between these two. It's open. In entrepreneurship or in pursuing higher studies and pursuing research, this is what happens. Most people, when they go off track, they forget to come in track. Or most people who just maintain the same track, don't get to know a lot of opportunities that surrounds them. This is one of the issues. People who choose trail B, I guess I'm looking into a lot of government-based people here, I think, in the audience. So this is a very
I
confined
think
space
so too.
which has a fence, which means you either walk on this side of the fence or on that side of the fence. It's impossible to find a middle ground, at least in my thought. It's impossible for you to manage, explore a lot of opportunities and still continue that job. And with Trail C, that is something of a corporate sector's idea, as in you can climb the steps, sort of rocky things, yes. You can climb up the entire mountain like it's a trekking trip. You can climb up all the trees if you wanted to. Nobody's there to ask you, but still you would have the opportunity to explore all of the chances that is lying around you. So you have to decide what you are going to do. All right. Before moving on to the next slide, I just mentioned that there are a lot of opportunities that are lying around you. How do you choose them? How do you go get to it? As I said, I started working a lot in my 20 and 2021 academic years. I was even academic topper, given that I was doing a lot of internships during that time. So what I did was, and I took my first 1.5 years of UG study to get to know computer science. It's a vast world. It keeps changing every day. It's a vast changing technology. So all I did was I explored everything. I got into AI. I got into networking. I belong to the networking branch, so I obviously had to. And I got to learn about cybersecurity, about blockchain, and I was looking for a domain that really attracted my interest. I think that is the most important step towards getting a good career, towards excelling in one's career, because once you start tailoring your needs in alignment to the needs of the market, I don't think you can sustain over the long period of time because the market's requirements might keep changing. But your interest will lie the same. Your interest, your passion would be that. So start pursuing what you feel is interesting to you. That is the entire model of this slide. I think I talked a lot on this. So what do we do? Where do we look for opportunities? So I've mentioned two repositories here calling Git to the Rescue, one of which is my own, the list that I curated when I was coming across a lot of internship opportunities specifically for CSE students. Again, I'd like to highlight that. And I think that was updated around like 5 months ago. Not a lot of reach, yes, but feel free to raise any issue, try to be a contributor or raise a pull request. It's up to you. And it was an upgraded version of my repository. I'm not sure if I'm calling out the right name, Himajwa. I'm not sure how many of you have come across this repository. So that has a lot more. It encapsulates a lot more of opportunities than what I have mentioned. And I highly recommend all of you to go check it out because I'm sure that will help you. And again, I'd like to mention that most of these opportunities require you to be currently in your second or third years, right? Apart from Git, you got Google. Let's go Google stuff. Feel free. So the first link that came up when I started looking for specific opportunities tailored to Indian students is something very research specific. These are opportunities in various foreign countries, something like the MyTax program. You have the DAD Rise with Germany. And there are a lot of such opportunities in this particular link, in which you don't have to do a thing. The internships are stipendary or non-stipendary based. A few of them are non-stipendary. I should also mention that. And they give you the visa, they give you accommodation details. You all you have to do is go there, start studying, start pursuing what interests you, and everything else is taken care of. That is such a golden opportunity, and definitely do explore that. Googling a bit more, if you wanted to pursue higher studies, we have a set of 20 top British universities that are giving scholarships for the South Asian and Southeast Asian women. Now, this is very specific to women. You can easily get an opportunity to pursue higher studies in STEM, any of that. And I have personally applied to one of UK's universities under this particular British Council scholarship. It's 100% free waiver. So who'd want to lose that? Googling more, I thought, okay, why do I have to Google a lot of things? Why not I go apply at Google? That's coming later. I'll let you know that. So again, for people who chose 12B, I think a lot of them, this might be useful. Government of India has a lot of opportunities specifically for women and girls. So you can subscribe to online newsletters, online government newsletters that lets you know about the vacant positions, other vacancies in research and non-research based areas, something specific to women as well. You can see the first screenshot shows Department of Science and Technology, DST, showing a list of 5 programs. I think it could cut 5 programs specifically tailored for women scientists, and DRDO, one of the prestigious organizations that is giving scholarships only for girls. I think there's around 20 to 30. I'm not sure of the number of scholarships, but it's specifically for girls. Guys are gonna envy you if you get an opportunity at DRDO, and I'm not kidding. That is true. So yes, my experience in applying to Google, it was a off-campus thing that I tried, and I was pretty happy that I was called for the interview even in the first place. So what happened was they gave me a problem. I'm so sorry, I won't be able to share the problem with the audience. It's one of their policies. They gave me a problem and they wanted me to code it out. The issue was I was conceptually able to solve the problem. As I said, I am more of a theoretical computer science person than a applied computer science person, which means I am not that good at coding as compared to the conceptualizing stuff. So what happened was I was able to pen paper down everything that I wanted to do in order to get the solution for the said problem, but it was unable to code it out. So that is where it was lagging. So right now I've been doing a lot of practice on improving my coding skills, yes. But what you can do is, let's say you start reading a concept, you straight up go and start coding it out. Because being a computer science student, a lot of people, let's say 95 to 98% of the industry even, would expect you to be a good coder, would expect you to know to code whatever you're talking. So that matters a lot. Please don't lose the opportunity of, practicing ELAB questions. It has like 300 questions. We hardly do 100. And try solving them at your own pace, at your own time. It's not going to be a pain, but it's definitely going to help you in the long run. A little bit of a don'ts. These are the parts that I was talking about. So you don't stop applying, you don't worry, like thinking of the number of positions. Let's say the number of positions or vacancies is only 10, and like thousands and 10,000s of people are going to apply. It doesn't matter. It's not going to pain to apply once more. Right? So don't worry about being selected or not being selected. And don't say, I need 5 more minutes of sleep again, because you are a master of your own time. You got the same 24 hours used effectively. Maybe you will not be able to learn anything in that 5 particular minutes, but it does count in the long run. Maybe you take 5 more minutes of sleep for 5 days, you're losing a whole of 25 minutes. So in a week, you're losing half an hour nearly. You could have learned something in that time. It might seem so faint, but the significance it has over the long run is way too much to even verbally communicate that. And you don't say, I don't care at all about any opportunity. You are looking at an opportunity because you care. It does matter to your career. But you have to sit down to analyze if it's worth your time, if you'd get the right acknowledgement. if it's worthwhile to be put on your resume. So what do you think of every time you see an opportunity is, think, if I put this on my resume, would it be a good highlight? So that is what you need to think every time you get an opportunity. And you don't quit. And if someone comes to you and gives you a piece of advice, elders, faculties, friends, youngsters, anybody, don't tell me what to do to them. They're taking, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes of their 24 hours for your life. And I think that if someone's doing that, it means that they care about you. So if someone's saying something, no matter if it's useful or not useful to you, consider it in the first place. Acknowledge the time that they're spending for you. Acknowledge that and say, thank you for letting me know of the opportunity. I will look into it. All right. We had a bit of do's that you can do. And again, this is a lot of fun. You don't lose focus. You keep calm and you try. It doesn't matter if I believe in you, but you should. And no matter if you fail or you succeed, you talk about it. I recently came across multiple posts on on LinkedIn, where people were specifically saying that I got demoted today, and someone posted that I did not get selected for my tax. I will be happy to apply to the next round or towards the next academic year. Those are bold posts. I have never done that to a common platform where I shared all of my success stories. I have literally never told that I did not get selected to a particular application that I came up with. So talk about it. Knowledge is the best when you share it to everybody, share your experiences, share your knowledge. I think that is the point of this entire session today. So the next time when you get an opportunity knocking at your door, you do these baseline four things. You say, yeah, totally, I'm gonna take it up. You simply be the best and you snail it because that's what we do. That is the spirit, all right? Moving up, take 10 seconds, take 15 seconds, no matter. Just go through this meme and then I'll start talking about it. Person A says, can you pass the salt? But nothing's coming to him. And then he says, I said, and there's this person B that pops in and says, I know, I'm developing a system to pass you arbitrary condiments. Had it been me as in the person A's place, I would say, did I ask you for any arbitrary condiments? Just pass me the salt. Okay, but this guy's a bit polite. He says it's been 20 minutes. And person B says it'll save time in the long run. But why? Maybe in the long run, I would not require salt. I would require a hot sauce or something. I would require pepperonis. You wouldn't know what I require, right? So the same thing. Life will give you a lot of requirements. But again, you have to deal with every requirement at every stage of life. It's not that you're going to sit down here thinking, what would I be doing in 20 years? No, don't do that. You can think to a maximum of 5 years. What would I be doing in 5 years? That is not a long run, but it's a short run that you have to think about if whatever I'm doing today would be lifting me to a better position in the next 5 years. That's a good thinking that you can do. In the IT world, even that in thought work specifically, in the corporate world, they call this Yagni. You ain't gonna need it. So every time you look into an opportunity, you see if it's Yagni or not. You know what is the best example of Yagni? The yellow gate that's on the background. What is the point of the gate? Nothing. It's just there for the sake of being there. So don't just do an internship or don't just take up an opportunity just for the sake of it. Put yourself into it, start working on it, get to know your passion, see if it's interesting to you. Only then start pursuing it. And again, the best developers are the lazy one. Be lazy when it comes to choosing your opportunity. But once you've chosen it, start working like hell for that. And finally, I'm not sure how many of you know this reference, by the way, this is Dwight from The Office. You've got to kiss the opportunity. Keep it simple and stupid. Don't try to implement complicated stuff, something like, as a beginner, I'm talking about. Something like I'm going to make an AI robot, I'm going to start making an autonomous vehicle. That's not the way to start. The way to start is you start making a blind follower robot. That is how you keep it simple and stupid. That's a very simple idea. But once you get that base strong, you start building on it. This is a great advice, but yes, it hurts my feelings every time. Me too, I am also saying that. And that's it. I am wrapping up. Thank you for all your time. You're a great audience. Over to you,
Wow.
Tanisha.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kavya. And I must say that we are really, really thankful for your in-depth time management, like circulatory, like the way you explain, because it is so important to understand time. It is so important. And I'm being honest, right? I've never thought of this that we create our own time. Actually, I was so intently listening to you because I realized that maybe I also waste a lot of my time just saying that I don't have time. So I think like I'll also use a pun right here, like your words hit home, like it is like that. Your words literally
You.
hit home. And it's been great. Like
It's an honor.
really
Thank you for having me.
thank you so much. And now, few of the best questions which I took out while I was looking at the live chat that the people asked, I would like to ask them to you. So, first is this, which I really think is like it needs an expertise opinion. Like, what are the major reasons that research opportunities, or research facilities are not that developed in India? And or do you think that it is actually developed? But many of us like R&D, like the much and more we think about research, we only go till R&D. Oh, do I want to work in an R&D or something? But I think research has a much bigger platform. And if you know like what is it that's going in India, if you want to shed some light on it, like you have worked on multiple projects and applied many places, so you may be knowing it better.
Okay, I would definitely say that there are a lot of internship opportunities in India itself. Do you know IBM India has an R&D sector? There is Google R&D in Bangalore, IBM Research. There is, I'm not sure if TCS has one, but there is Tata R&D. All of these companies we've come across in our everyday career platforms. So I wouldn't definitely say there aren't any research opportunities in India. That's one. And then let's go back to Trail A. You were saying that
Yes,
that is how entrepreneurship and research or higher studies pretty much, you know, illustrates itself as trail A, which means you don't have a specific path, you don't have anybody to guide you. There are lying around opportunities which you can check out on your own. So I think that is why most people do not specifically go for research in India, fearing the
correct.
fact that they might or might not be even on track. So whatever you do, if you start putting 100% into it, you will definitely be in the right path. That is one of my biggest learnings of the 4 years.
That's such an insightful answer, and I hope the audience that asked them got the answer, because that would actually help them segregate how they want to plan their future ahead. And then there is one more question is, do you think that internships give us more opportunities to explore various fields? Like as per say, like I am an ECE student, but what if I'm looking for opportunities in genetics or in CS, just for as an example to put it out there? Do you think that internships would bring more value to me if I'm going for a field that is not connected to me per se, if I only talk about my bachelor's?
Yeah. So majorly, you can just categorize internships into two halves. One, something that's close relevant to your field of study. Two, that is not relevant to your field of study. So as I
True.
said, the first internship that I pursued with collaboration with SRM and DRDO, that project was computer vision or image processing to be specific, which I have no clue about. I am a person of the networking department of CSE, and I have no clue about the image processing aspects. But I still went on to pursue it because that was interesting to me. The moment I saw the problem statement, I saw that it was interesting. But that does not mean I did not pursue an internship that is relevant to my field well. Great. So I have internships that are very close relevant to CSE as well. So it depends. Let's say if had I had much of an interest in computer vision than in CSE specifically after pursuing the DRDO internship, I would have gone I would have gone a step ahead and started looking in that direction, which did not happen in my case. So to that person, if you think, I'm not sure if you just gave the example per se. So if the person who's pursuing ECE or let's say Triple wants to do something with CSE or something with biotechnology, they can very well go about to pursue it. It's your life. People might question you, like, why did you go off the track and do something different? But again, if it's your passion, you pursue it. You are going to feed your own self, not anybody else.
That's true. That's, I think the person got the answer, and that's very clear and in-depth answer. Thank you for your time, Kavya Priya. I really appreciate you coming on Women's Day and sharing all the insights, all the knowledge, and how did you achieve your endeavors? I think that really inspired us also, and that is Women's Day is all about, women inspiring
It's an
women.
honor. Thank you so much. It's with the kind
Thank
words, really. I'm flattered. Thank you
No,
so
no, no.
much.
Seriously, it's your talent and your hard work. It's just words for me, but it's work for you. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. And now, moving on to our next guest for tonight, we have Khyati Arora. She is one of our second eminent guests here, and she's currently a research trainee at Harvard Medical School at Brigham and Women's Hospital. She's also a certified genetic counselor. She completed her BTech in genetic engineering from none other than SRM, right? SRM University. And not only this, she's an experienced content writer with a demonstrated history of working in the research industry. And these are just few of her talents to mention. So, hey Kathy, welcome, and wow, what and what an exceptional career in research and everything. Wow, it's truly amazing just to speak of it. So, hi, and please take the stage and
Thank
introduce
you so
yourself.
much, Tanisha. Thank you, IEEE, for inviting me. And I'm extraordinarily humbled by your introduction for me. Um, but to get right into it, and whilst I share my screen, let me wish you all a very happy Women's Day. Okay. Please let me know if my screen is visible,
Yes,
um,
yes, sure.
and also if the audio is okay.
Yeah, your audio and your voice is completely fine. And yes, your screen is visible. I can see it right here now.
Perfect. Sounds good. So, thank you all for gathering here this evening. Um, and we're all here to understand the opportunities in research. But I think I would like to take one step back and talk about how to get into a good position where you know what you want to pursue, and the things that you would have to tick off in the process of doing that. So, well, without further ado, I think we should just jump in to understand how we can explore opportunities while while exploring the diversity and getting where we want to. To give you a little overview about my journey, I think my first introduction to biology in itself happened in my grandfather's garden. And as a child, to be learning gardening, I think I was more comfortable speaking to plants than I was to people. But cut to 10 years later, in grade 10, I was selected for the general regional CBSE exhibitions that happen in school. And we did an experiment that made us stand apart at a very young age because that was something that was booming in biology at that point in time in 2015, which was hybridization. And if you don't know what this means, we basically took a hibiscus flower, a red hibiscus, and a white hibiscus. We added a little magic potion to the genes of both of this, and we made a pink hibiscus. And so all of this experience confirmed and it logged in my head that biology was the way to go, and genetics was specifically what called out to me. So jumping right into college, I joined SRM. I chose SRM, and SRM also chose me because it is one of the leading institutes in India for genetics specifically. And my face time at college allowed me a good balance of pursuing academic writings. And by that, I mean research articles, research papers, review papers, while also giving me a good, conducive space to pursue my co curriculars and extracurriculars. How it all happened, we look later, but in the last semester of my fourth year, I had to do a major project. And seventh semester before that, um, we had a subject of genetic counseling. And I think through the process of ticking things off that weren't exactly my area of interest, got me to genetic counseling. And I said that I need a long term internship to not only pursue research to justify my major project, but also to get a hang of a day in the life of a genetic counselor. What happens? What is the profile? And is this really the thing that's for me that I will be pursuing professionally? And those 6 months changed my life because that also gave me a good balance of my research, which was my major project. And that was a COVID based research. So, because I was working at a hospital, there was no holidays when it came to lockdowns for us. We were working all through. And finally, we had a fruitful research product. But all of this was happening parallelly with patient interaction, where I was able to interact firsthand with patients, gathering information, consulting them which genetic test they should take, because it's a big decision in your life. You're going to know about something that you might not know until much later in life, until something actually manifests much later as a genetic disorder. So it is a whole experience of how I personally grew, but I logged things professionally that this is what I am meant to do. And for a 20 or a 21-year-old, that was a big feat for me. But all of this journey culminated in my certification through Board of Genetic Counseling of India. And so that allowed now allows me to practice as a genetic counselor in India. And it is a little humbling for me to say that I'm also the youngest genetic counselor India has, because I got the certification right out of college. And whilst I was indulging myself way too much into genetic counseling, I was parallelly also looking at research opportunities. And that brought me to apply for a whole bunch of institutes, Harvard Medical School being one of them. And it worked out. So now I'm here uh, serving as a research trainee. And this is very different from genetic counseling. This is not my main area, but this gives me a good hand at performing research at a very high tech lab that involves not just genetics and a lot of components of biology, but a good load of electronics and electrical um, mix with machine learning and AI. So, something that I never thought that I'd be dabbling into, I am here and learning about machine learning and getting that support for my research. So if I think the previous question that was asked, if somebody wants to, switch your path or have another vertical added to your profession. So if you're in EC and if you want to explore biotech, there are a lot of conducive spaces for you to explore, and Harvard Medical School could be one of them for you. But to take you through a timeline, and as I said, that opportunities, I think Kavya helped me outline a whole bunch of that. But if we take a step back to understand where to find your area of research, this is the sort of timeline that I followed. And by no means do you have to follow the same timeline. This is just to give you an overview and an eagle's point to where you can begin. So in my second and third year of college, my main attempt was to explore in order to understand what it is that calls out to me. So, between the semester, the 1 month holiday that we have is the best time to explore internships. And don't get me wrong, please do that. Please explore these internships in your hometown, be at home, take all the love and care you can get from your parents. But also spend your days understanding things that work for you and things that don't work for you, because this is the time where you can make mistakes, and making mistakes is the best thing that you will do. So beef up your resume during this time, because your internships, something that you like. So say for example, my first internship happened at University of Hyderabad, which was a startup, and they were into algae culturing. that helped me understand that although I learned a lot, I learned how to read a paper, read a research paper, which is art in itself. But that first internship allowed me to understand that, okay, microbial genetics is probably not for me. I learned a lot, but will I do it again? And will I be happy doing it? Not really. And then I jumped to my next internship, which happened at ICRISAT, which is one of India's leading agricultural institutes. I explored and dabbled into tissue culturing, which was a hot topic at that point in time in 2019, I suppose. And that helped me understand that, okay, tissue culturing is probably very interesting. It is very helpful. It will change and revolutionize agriculture. But is it something that I will enjoy doing happily? Probably not. So, this is where my internships help me to pull down to, okay, if it's not plants, if it's not microbes, then it's probably human genetics. And that said, I was also focusing a lot onto my co-curriculars. So I was trying to get into a lot of conferences, presenting papers at conferences, whilst also balancing and channelizing my creative energy in extracurricular activities. But this is what my second and third year entailed, and all of these learnings that I was getting at my internships, I was trying to find professors in SRM who were aligning with the same interest. And so I reached out to them saying that, listen, I need your help, and this is where I see myself going. So lead yourself to professors and seniors who you think can provide assistance. And now that this was an if you think that that was like an overview, this is to go deeper, and to do a boot camp assessment. Now, again, any time is a great time to do a boot camp, but this is specifically to find your area of interest. And as I said, let me take my own example. Because I am a genetics student, I divided the field of genetics into five main areas, which is plant, human, animal, microbes, and medical devices, or devices in general. So again, going back to the, if you want an overlap between ECE and biotech, medical devices are a great, middle zone for you. But these were the categories that I shortlisted, and through my internships, I ticked things off and came to the conclusion that human genetics is what I want to do. Now, within my category of interest, which is human genetics, what interests me further? And I was lucky enough to be able to put a finger on that because of my subjects in the curriculum that Genetics SRM offered. So, subjects like cytogenetics, human genetics, genes and disorders, all of this got me to channel that, okay, human disorders in human genetics is what probably calls out to me. And what is a field that caters to this best? It came down to genetic counseling. As I said, in my seventh semester, I had a subject called genetic counseling. And so that logged something in my head that this is what I want to professionally pursue. And I was grateful that at a young age I was able to put a finger on what I wanted to do. Then I came down to what skills I have for this profession. So, as I mentioned, communication skills, empathy, emotional intelligence, while also having a good knowledge of when to recommend which test, what is the cost of the test, because a lot of a very poor part of our country requires genetic tests, and they are not included in any health insurance. So, how do you fund these? Do I network with sponsors? How do I do that? So, so I made a list of what skills I do have and what skills I don't have. And it is always good to be honest with yourself, because then it gives you a freedom of how to explore and how to improve things that you're not so good at. And that is why this honesty pushed me to the next step, which is workplace exploration. I got onto LinkedIn, I got onto speaking to my seniors and professors, being very to the point and asking for help, that this is what I want to do. This is a very niche area. A lot of students have not even heard of genetic counseling. A lot of people who are now middle aged in India have never heard of genetic counseling, but it is such a helpful profession which basically bridges clinicians and like medical professionals like doctors, bridges the doctors with people who are just diagnostic centers. So there is a huge chasm that needs to be filled, and genetic counselors do that. And I want to do that. But how do I do that? So reach out to seniors, because that is your alumni network in SRM is what will help you explore. And then I moved on to my next step, which I call transitory research. And I think that is one of the biggest reasons you would have gathered here. So, transitory research is basically, um, if you would like to explore an internship that you think is out of your league, aka an international internship. How would you do that? To go about it, very simple steps. And I know I'm making it sound very easy, but let's get into it. Choose your final destination first. You have a whole lot of countries in the world. Put a finger on which country you would like to go to, or at least shortlist some. Is it Germany, Australia, UK, US? Where do you see yourself? Now, once you have a country, make a list of desirable colleges and go all out while you're choosing these colleges, because you're not going to be a student, you're not going to be bound by a degree. There's not going to be assignments, midterms, final term exams. You're going to be free, you're going to be working in a stipulated time. You go at 9, you get off at 5, you work 5-day week, and you have your weekends free. So you would want to have a good professional life and traveling life balance. So make a list of colleges and don't inhibit yourself out there. Finally, find corresponding faculties to your area of interest. So you have your colleges. For each college, there will be a faculty page. Find that and start looking at each faculty member. Look at what their research is, and if that overlaps with your area of interest, shoot them an email. Uh, and I think email is the best way to go about it. What to include in your email? Quick things to mention are have a good, crisp email body. And while you mention that this is what you're looking for, support that with your resume. Have a good, updated, well drafted, and compiled resume. Definitely have a cover letter. Cover letter is basically why you want to work in this lab specifically, what is your purpose, and why you think you deserve to work in this lab. So, two questions are answered in a cover letter. Um, your purpose of applying to this lab specifically, and why you are a fit candidate. That is your cover letter. Support this with letters of recommendation. And finally, a special document that played a major role in my applications was the research experience document. Now, why I added this document is that even if somebody does not open my resume looking at the title of research experience, they are definitely going to open this document. And what this document what the content of it was basically just, you know, a chronological arrangement of my published projects or my ongoing projects, which called out to the research that the lab specifically was doing. So, although my area of research or my interest was genetic counseling and human disorders, there's very specific people in the entire world that do this research. So I had to expand my area of interest and dabble a little into human genetics or animal genetics. And that is how I reached out to people from all over the world. But um, I will, to culminate this slide, I will give you three pieces of advice that worked out for me. Number one being, do not give up. And why I say that is because in my seventh semester, which is a short 4 months of a semester, I sent about 250 emails at least to 250 odd professors from all over the world and heard back only from one. Some of them didn't even reply, some of them didn't even open my email. Some of them were kind enough to mention that, we don't have positions because of COVID. But all of this 250 emails and much more, I'm just taking a ballpark number there, only one worked out for me. Which brings me to my second piece of advice, that if you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no. So put yourself out there, go crazy. Do not limit yourself that, okay, let me only apply to, colleges that are achievable for me, that I think that I will get through. Apply to any and all colleges. Nothing is a dream college until and unless you apply for it. So if you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no. And my third piece of advice, by my example, it has to work out only at one place. So try your best, keep exploring. There's tons of opportunities. Speak to your professors, because somewhere someone will have a similar path that you want to pursue, and to have a point of view of someone who's 10 or 15 years into the industry, it's going to help you measure your path or how you would like to pursue. So I think with that, I am coming to the end of my presentation. And as I say that, there's one last thing that I would like to mention. I think as a generation, collectively, we take hobbies for granted, or we take hobbies too seriously and change the definition of hobbies, because I have been indulging a lot into art and into writing from a lot of years. Um, but I come across a lot of people who say that, why don't you start writing a blog, or make a website, which I have dabbled into. But the moment your hobby becomes a chore, becomes a job, you limit yourself, you restrict yourself, and I think that is the worst thing you can do for your creativity. But why I mention this is because in my experience, in my first internship, in my 6-month internship that I did at a hospital as a GC intern, and my present apprenticeship at Harvard, my hobbies and the things that I interest in besides my major academics, I think that has helped me network better and get more opportunities and connect better with people, because we as humans are not just made of academics, and research is not everything. You need a human touch to humans. You need to have the emotional connect when you're connecting with somebody, and I think hobbies have played a major role since college for me. So I think, I hope this helped you, and feel free to connect via email or LinkedIn. And thank you so much for listening. Your time means a lot to me. And again, wishing you all a happy Women's Day. Thank you for celebrating this.
Wow, Kathy, I was listening to you all the time. And like the one thing I said, that in the end, you said that it helped you. It's more than a help. Like you started from the baby steps of a research to taking it all the way to the curriculum and how it works and how to professionally tackle one of your passion. And it's been great. Like I have never, ever, like, this is not something as a flattery, but like, honestly, I've never heard someone talk in such a raw manner, and I'm really thankful that because our audience gets to see this, and even if like this goes on YouTube, so people who couldn't see it would always see it and take this as an example. Like you covered each and every point, like before research, after research, and what goes into the research. So thank you for the A to Z of research. And there's so many things, like you said, like I always believed, but I never heard anyone from medical field to say it blatantly, sorry, say that yes, emotional intelligence is very important when it comes to that field. And I so agree with you, and I hope so that you go way higher, so that more people could connect to you and could take your advice or need in the future. Thank you so much for all your insights, really. It was literally mind blowing.
Thank you,
And
Tanisha. And thanks to
no,
Kavya as well to cover out a whole bunch of the opportunities part of it, because I took a more like a different tangent to how to get to research. And all the best to Anushka. Thank you, Tanisha.
and so we have one question for you as well
Okay.
from the audience. Like
Oh.
one of the audience asked, which kind of internships would be helpful for learning more about bioengineering and to have some kind of practical experience? If you could name a few, it doesn't matter if it's in here or in abroad, or if any internship that stand out for you. Like you really think that this could help as a student of third year or second year or someone starting very early.
Um, I think if I name a few of them, it'll be very limiting. I don't
Okay.
want to do that. I think the best places to start, number one, you can go either to two extremes. One, uh, get yourself into a place which is established already. So, if you have a diagnostic center or a research lab which has been already established, and they know what they're doing, they have their protocols set, that'll give you a good corporate industry, bioengineering experience.
Correct.
Or you can go to the other extreme where you get yourself into a bioengineering startup, because there you learn things that an established one will not teach you. They're going to be very professional, whereas a startup community is going to pull you right
Pull
from
you
your,
up, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
they'll help you grow right from your roots to upwards. So I think these are two places that you can do. And if you want to put a finger on where to do these things, you could just look up startups or industry labs in your city. like so probably if you're in Chennai now, and if you want to do a part-time thing, which is probably just on the weekends, because through the week you have college that you have to cater to. So find labs and startups which are either as incubation centers in college. So like how SRM has
Yes.
SIIC. um,
SIIC, right?
yes, so there are similar incubation centers in multiple colleges. So I would like to hint IIT
Yes.
Madras,
Out
figure
of
things
every,
out.
yes, yes.
Yeah, so there's also Sri Ramchandra Hospital, great with research in bioengineering. And so these are institutes, but feel free to get into startups as well, because they will teach you right from your basics, and you will get a hands-on experience with the practicals of an experimentation. So you'll be able
True.
to do that too.
Okay, that was a great piece of advice. And whosoever asked this, that is so true. And I would actually quote Kathy only, that if you'd ask, there would be no for you. There would be no for you, no door. Like if you're ready to ask, you'll get an opportunity. And thank you so much, Kathy, for your time. It was great and it was a pleasure having you. And happy Women's Day, and keep
Thank
inspiring
you.
us
Happy
always.
Women's Day to you too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And now, to say last but not the least, and never the least, our final speaker of the night, Anushka Aggarwal. She's currently working as a research intern at Air Lab CMU. She's pursuing computer science and business system. She's an enthusiast when it comes to exploring and researching on varied levels of computer science or business. Her deep rooted interest lies in machine learning and deep learning, and that is one hell of an introduction. Wow, Anushka, we are so happy to have you here. Welcome And please share your insights, what you got for us today.
Thank you, Tanisha. That is really flattering, I would say. So as you said, that is correct. And the speakers before me, they gave like really intense insights on how research can be. We got to know how things work in the medical world and how you can, approach research there. But being in the computer science domain myself, I would like to highlight a bit on how you can actually approach research if you're looking for something related to maybe deep learning or blockchain or the upcoming technologies. So I'll just quickly share my screen. I hope it's visible now.
Uh, yes, it's visible now.
Okay.
Yes,
So
please go ahead.
yeah, thank you, Tanisha. So when we talk about research, and we there are two things which comes to our mind. The first is working in an industry, working in a startup, working in an MNC, and the other not so popular domain in Indian industry is research. So when I started out my college, I did not know what it meant. So honestly, I was preparing for SATs back in my class 12, and I unfortunately I couldn't make it there. So my goals were to pursue masters in the later run. And when I used to ask people on advice, so as to how can I pursue it, what can I do to improve my profile, all I heard about was just go publish a bunch of papers, they really count. And I kid you not, that is literally the only thing I've heard about research. So when I approached my first year, I went with a mindset that this is something I want to do just to improve my profile. But when I started getting inside it and I started knowing what actually research is, I think I developed some sort of taste for it, and in turn started looking for opportunities which can help me with the same thing. So here's a bit about my profile. I was thinking, since some of you might be beginners here and little bit confused, so as to how to proceed with doing stuff, I thought I'll give you a brief timeline of what I did, so it can act as a little sort of guidelines for you all too. So in my first year, first semester, I targeted web development. I like the idea, like the concept of both front end and back end development. So I did my front end in basic HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But then when I had an option to choose between so many languages, like JavaScript literally offers so many frameworks. You have Node, you have Express. I was a little bit confused because ever since I wanted to pursue machine learning as a future career option. So I had that in mind that yeah, okay, I'm doing web development because somewhere down the line I'll be creating these awesome models and I'd need a place to showcase it to the rest of the world. So rather than going on the traditional JavaScript path, I took a different path. I learned Python. During that time, I learned multiple frameworks for backend development like Django and Flask, and that's how I completed my web thing. After that, I worked a little bit on web automation. That was basically automating websites. I did try to create a bot to put my attendance throughout my classes, but that wasn't a success for XYZ reasons. So, anyway, I learned a bit about web automation. At that point, I wasn't very sure if research is something I want to do, but I was approached by a friend of mine this one fine day, and he just went ahead and he's like, I want to write a paper. And that was a little bit weird to me because we did not have any guidance, we did not have people to tell us, we did not know how to go about writing the paper, what conferences are, what journals are. But I knew a bit of Python, and I had a little bit knowledge about automation, and we decided to just make a project out of whatever we know. And that's when him and I, we decided to have our first publication. I so yeah, that is how I had my first publication. uh, that was not the best thing I have done, but it set me on the path of what not to do when you are opting for research, okay, which I have covered in the later parts of my slide. So after my first paper, I decided to go in depth with machine learning, and after researching a bit, I had like so many options throughout the domain. I had deep learning, I had computer vision, natural language processing, image reconstruction, and literally so many. So I slowly tried to start with the basic courses on machine learning. I'm sorry if this is a little bit inclined towards what I have done, so I'm just trying to um,
No, 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 no. Literally, it's not a problem. I guess if you don't know, many people are interested in machine learning and the AI umbrella, as per se, and this would be a great insight for them. So please continue, Anushka.
So AI is also something which beginners find very difficult to go through, because if you were to do web development, I would suggest you one course. You can go on Udemy, you can complete the entire course in whatever duration, and more or less you are fairly comfortable with the projects you might approach. But with machine learning and AI, things change. A single course, a single topic won't even make you, enough so that you can approach every project, because it is so huge and vast. And how it goes is, number one, you have to be very comfortable with the maths behind machine learning. Nobody told me that, and till date I see equations which scare me throughout the night, and these are facts. So if you are somebody who is looking forward to have a career in machine learning, I would really suggest if you could, brief up on your 11 12th maths, as well as your college level maths. The second important thing here is that you have to be like very comfortable with the uh, algorithmic representation of a particular algorithm, okay. Most of the people, what they do is they use libraries, okay. They'll import sklearn, they'll fit the entire function. But if you really, okay, this might work for the people who are interested in industry, not 100%, but to like some extent. But when it comes to research, it boils down to, every basic component of a specific algorithm or a procedure. So I would say understand how it is working, figure out the maths behind it, learn its raw implementation, and then take the help of so many libraries. So that's what I did. I did my machine learning course. I got well versed with that, and that it was after that I chose to move on to deep learning. I read about convolution networks, recurrent neural networks, and I realized that this opens me two major domains. Okay, one is computer vision, another is natural language processing. I personally had a little bit inclination towards vision because I had certain projects I wanted to do later on. Hence, I went forth with it and I completed that part. Also, majority of my internships and work has been on computer vision. And right now at Air Labs, I'm working. The project I'm working on, it's like a hybrid approach. We'll talk about that later. So that was like my overall journey on what I studied, what all topics I took into consideration. And I did a couple of projects just solemnly on computer vision. And after that, I landed my first internship at I8 Labs. At I8 Labs, I was mainly dealing with the data processing for financial data. That is a very different genre of machine learning. I interned there for a while. And right after that, I got a chance to work at Omnipresent Robot Tech. It's a really, really nice robotic startup. I got to learn literally so many things throughout, and it gave me a deep idea on how to even deploy stuff on hardware. And that was the part where I completed my industry experience. Now coming back to research. Right. So how I started my research part, I started working with CVRS, that is Computer Vision Research Society. It's a group of undergraduates at BITS Pilani, amazing people. And I got into a project with them, first of all. And at the same time, I was also working with my professor, Mr. R. Rajkamal at SRM University. And we were working with medical image segmentation. And so that project was also going on, and I got this really good opportunity to work at CVRS. We initially worked with video action recognition, and we tried to like get it to publication. And we'll talk about the CMU internship in a while, but I was thinking let's move on. So that was like it about my profile, and let's move on. If you are a person interested in research, how can you start your research journey? Okay. Okay, so the very first step is find what interests you. Okay, maybe you're not a machine learning person. It's not a hard and fast rule that you have to be like that. Okay, maybe you like blockchain, you like cryptography, you like the concept of NFTs. Okay, or maybe you like quantum computing. There are so many domains out there for you to choose. So once you decide that okay, I want to be on the path of research, it is very important to make sure that you have narrowed down your interest. Okay, because people say that you can be the jack, don't be the jack of all trades, be the master of, be the master of one, which is true. But when it comes to computer science, you can be the master of everything. But when it comes to research, you have to be like very specific about which domains you want to, pursue in the later run. So choose a domain and then follow the steps I'll be showing in the next slide. Okay, so in-depth understanding is very important. Why I am saying that? For example, machine learning. Okay, when we talk about machine learning, you have to be very, very clear with the basics of machine learning, the maths behind the algorithms, everything, every layer which it's built on top of. So you cannot directly approach a research, just because you have like 20% or 30% understanding. You'll find it very difficult to comprehend the existing research, let alone writing something from scratch. So it's very important that you have an in-depth understanding of whatever domain you plan to pursue. Okay, now you have learned the subjects. Okay, you have done multiple courses, you have understood the maths, you've understood the algorithms. Now what? Okay, you have gained all the experience you need, but how to go about research? Because research is not something which, it can be done independently, yes, but as a beginner I would strongly advise against it, because you need somebody to guide you through the path of research who is comfortable or is doing the exact same thing you are. So the first step is identifying potential mentors and people who you want to work under. Okay, so what you need to do is look out for professors. They can be professors, they can be PhD students, they can be undergraduate people who have a very good research experience. Reach out to them, ask them if they can mentor you, and if not, you can work under them. It is very important, and if you're looking for a quality publication, I would suggest this step is like the first thing to do. Okay, so what's the process? Anushka, you say that I have to find people. What's the process of going around it? The first step is reach out to your current faculties. What do I mean by that? You are in a class, okay, and for example, you are interested in networking. I am sure, if not now, you'll have faculties who will be taking networking that semester. Go to them, meet them in person, tell them that it is something which really interests you, verbal conversation, and ask them if they have any open projects or any openings where you can fit in, and maybe you can contribute a little. So that's like the first way and the most basic way I would suggest you can find a mentor. And I think, just like somebody mentioned before, that go through your university's website and find faculties who have similar interest as yours. Okay, so if somebody is taking networking in the third semester and you don't know the faculty, what you can do is go to your university's website, go to the faculty section, and you'll find like a lot of people who are working with computer architecture, computer network, just as yours. Okay, drop them an email, ask them if they are interested. This might and since they do not know you personally, they haven't taught you, you have to learn the art of cold mailing. Okay, you have to email them, and how to email them, what's the structure behind cold mailing, is something we'll cover on later. But for now, dropping them a mail is like the first step you can do if you're not if you don't want to work under somebody who's currently teaching you. And at last, you don't have to be restricted to faculties inside your college. You can approach faculties in IITs, NITs, triple ITs, BITS, because these people, they are working on some really advanced research. Okay, you don't have to be constrained or limited by the use of resources in your college. So feel free to mail or reach out to anybody across the world if they match your research interest. Okay. Now, when I talk about cold mailing, there are a lot of do's and don'ts. Okay, because the professors there, they get so many emails on a regular basis. They have so many people, just mailing them. It is important for you to like shine out in the crowd. So the first thing I would strictly advise to not do is do not send out bulk mails. Okay, what people do is they'll be contacting their seniors. They'll be asking them to provide them with a list of mails they sent before they got an internship. They'll change their name and then they'll literally send the same mail to like 200 professors. So I would suggest do not do that. Not only are you decreasing your chance of getting in, you're also taking in somebody else's place because it is just a spam mail for them. This second thing you can do is do not reach out. Okay, if you find the computer science page, if you find the faculties, do not reach out to all the faculties in your domain. Okay, don't start messaging every 200, 300 faculty you find. It will waste your time as well as theirs. So what you need to do is find the people who are relevant to what your interests are. You don't necessarily need to have a project or a solid publication on the domain, yet you need to be interested. That is very important. Okay, you need to be interested in whatever thing you are mailing them about. Okay. And again, when you're drafting the mail, don't write, "Yes, I'm in my second year. I'd like to do an internship under you. Thanks, regards." Do not do that. Customize your mail. Make it very relevant. Make sure you have proper, highlighted sections of what you have worked on. So a quick key tip here: if somebody is working, if their publications are, in the domain of 3D reconstruction, and you have worked with something like that, or if not the same domain, you have worked with something slightly similar, make sure that you have highlighted it well in that email, because the professor, he gets so many mail, he'll barely give like 3 to 4 seconds just glancing at your email. So make sure that you have highlighted like every important and relevant component of your application. Yes, and this is another important point you need to do is, if you really like a faculty, okay, there is you read a paper, you saw the name of the faculty, you read their more papers, and you really like them. Okay, try dropping them an email, or before you're dropping them an email, make sure you have gone to their website. You have, if not the entire publications, you have at least read like 2 or 3 of their papers. Tell them what part of the paper made your curiosity or made you curious, and type them why you like it. It just acts as, when the professor sees the mail, it kind of feels like this person has done their research, and this really plays in your favor. So while you're cold mailing, it is very important to be relevant to whatever is happening, and make sure you just have those 3 and 4 seconds to impress the person. If they do, boom, you have a research internship. These were about the cold mailing part. You can do it remotely. There are certain programs. I think I've shared a list of all the RUs, but I added it anyway. These are the list of programs you can apply to right now. RU is research in undergraduate. These are specifically programs designed for us, for undergraduate students like us, to pursue research. The first one is MyTax. The second one is RISS from CMU. It is sponsored by the robotics community, and it's an amazing program. It's completely funded. You have NTU India Connect, that is specific to Indian students. All the other programs are like worldwide. Then you have ETH Zurich summer research internship, and you also have USC Viabutai. I think it goes by the name IUSSTF. So if you are somebody who has good enough research experience, please make sure that you apply, at least apply to all of these and the other programs. Now, you have certain requirements for these programs. Number one is your statement of purpose. Okay, talking about statement of the purpose, make sure it will kind of align with the cold mails you were sending. Tell them why you want to pursue research, what are the components. Okay, make sure you tell the person reading your profile that you are genuinely interested in that domain. Okay, tell them why you like it and what you did in the past which connected, to your interest. So make sure you highlight that in your statement of purposes. And you'll be needing a letter of recommendations. You can get it from both your faculty who is teaching you, to the person who you researched under, or the person you worked under in an industry. So these are the two things. And also, very important part is, please make sure you have a good GPA. I know a lot of people do not, highlight the importance of having a good GPA enough, but specifically for people undergoing masters or research, it's important, because I personally feel like that is like one criteria people shortlist us on. Like, no matter if you have a great awesome publication, it won't compensate for a lack in GPA. So as a person who has been through that, I would really suggest that you take your GPA a bit more seriously. And with that, that is all I wanted to present. Let me know if you have any queries or doubts you want to ask, and I'll be more than happy to help you with it.
Wow, wow, Anushka, that was a great session. Thank you. Actually, there were few questions, but while I was listening to you and I was comparing the question, you covered it all. There was like a GPA query, and then there were like how to segregate into different AI segregations, and you covered it all from being RU internships and everything. Thank you so much for going into so much in depth. Really, I think our audience loved it. Like they loved it how well fragmented and segregated your whole presentation was, and it would help them and everyone here in the long run, because you know that ML and AI is such an hot streaming topic right now. Like everyone want to explore, and you rightly said that it's so vast that everyone can find a niche only if they try it, first hand experience. And thank you for sharing all the insights. It was great having you. Thank you for completely being honest with our audience and completely showing your process throughout, that how you achieve what you did. So I hope many people would follow your footsteps and they would also do great, especially those who are trying to get an identity in terms of research, how to build a profile in as a researcher and everything, so forth and so on. Like, thank you so much, thank you so much, you've been so great, and thank you for such an insightful session.
Also, guys, just putting it out there, I also started putting content on YouTube about computer vision. So if you get time, feel free to check my profile out. And like, if you want like a step-by-step guide on how to approach computer vision and deep learning as a problem statement, you can definitely check it out. And thanks for having me here, Tanisha. It was an amazing session.
It was an amazing session as well, Anushka. And please, guys, do check out our YouTube channel. I think computer vision is still a very nuanced kind of a topic, and people who are really trying to find help in that, they should definitely check Anushka's channel. So I hope like people get a lot of help from your channel, Anushka. Thank you for putting it out there, and thank you for being here on Women's Day. Happy Women's Day.
Same to you.
Thank you.
And to
Thank
all the
you.
women out there, happy Women's Day.
Thank you. So, now guys, we have two links in our chat box. There is one for the quiz. There's a small short quiz session for you all. So feel free to enjoy that and fill in your answers. And then there's a feedback form. Please do remember to fill it so that we can get an insight on everything, and how did you like the session, and hopefully you'll get your certificates as well. And to all the audience out there, thank you for being a great audience, guys. I hope you like this session. I hope you find it really fruitful. I would, with this, we bring this session to a close. Firstly, I would like to thank each and every one speaker here. They took out their precious times and they share all their insights, all their steps like baby processes and everything, that how they reach where they are. So if you should guys check it out and you should try to follow it. They all are achieving so much in their respective fields as researcher, and they have given us a lot of another options for and options and opportunities for research. So make useful segmentation out of it, and I'm sure the audience has gained a great deal of insight today, and it would definitely help them in the future endeavors. I would like to thank everyone present out here, audience, my whole IEEE student branch team. Lastly, the goal of today's session was to inspire the women for tomorrow to break the norms of society and leave their mark on this world. And your presence and active participation in the webinar encourages us to conduct more such webinars and bring you people who have built a graph, a professional graph so strong and so inspirational that we all want to do the same. So, thank you, and thank you for participating. You've been a great audience, and now I take your leave.